Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Endzone 2. Unfortunately, because the game has now left early access, we have lost our ability to continue our current series. So we're starting Season 3, the full release of the game. I'm going to go through a few things. So we've got our game mode set to easy and we're quite lucky in that we've been given a map that is really quite favourable. So in our first sector, we're over here, we've got three big areas that we can go into and then a smaller one there. We've then got sector 2, which has a very large area there, then another 2 slightly smaller ones, and then sector 3 is just 3 smallish sized settlements. The great thing here though is it's likely that our bridges will all link up quite nicely and all of the settlements are relatively close to one another. So we're going with large zones and medium sized zones. We can have no mutual exclusion of soil types per zone on. Now, what that means is it's like, I'm not actually quite sure what it means. My assumption is that your soil types will all be the same or something like that, and the same will be with your resources and things like that. So that should be okay. We're going to leave our scrap density and tree density as high on our zones. We're then going to make sure that each sector has all of those properties just to make our lives a bit easier. If you want to play this siege yourself, it's right there, 529551. We're going to continue onto our game settings. So we can display the help text. I'm going to leave those on because I always forget stuff. We're not going to uncover the map. We're going to leave our resource consumption on medium, but we're going to keep our starting resources as easy to give us a really good starting point. We are going to leave the unlock of technologies and seeds off because that's what I want. We don't want bridges on. We don't want an additional vehicle. We do want the consequences of low confidence on. I'm going to leave disease as easy and all of this as easy as well. And we're not going to have lasting drought on. We're going to keep the raiders as easy because that is a brand new thing. So we're going to have roaming raiders and we're also going to allow attacks on our settlements. That's just going to give us the opportunity to set up some defenses. Because it's easy, it shouldn't be too much of a problem for us. I mean, the Raiders is a new mechanic. Again, when Endzone: A World Apart released, we had Raiders release with the game itself as well. So it's quite a nice thing that they've done here to keep that continuity. So we're going to dive into our game. We're just generating the map now. I'm quite excited to see what the full release brings. Unfortunately, not continuing Season 2 means I still haven't even had a chance to play around with electricity and things, but that's the kind of thing where you're running multiple series on a channel. You don't have a great deal of time to really dive into something. But with Citadel coming to an end, rather than bringing a new game in, I'm just going to reduce down to 3 games. So we're going to have Endzone 2 running, Anno 1800 and 2 Point Museum, and then we will probably do a few odd, first looks and stuff, because I do have a few things in the pipeline that I want to take a look at, and I'm quite excited to show you guys all of those. Some you may have heard of, some you may not have heard of, but we are currently loading into our map and it will be very much the same start as usual, where we have our pathfinder and we need to find our first settlement. I really enjoyed the early access portion of this. It gave me a lot of time to play around and stuff, and obviously we did our first series and then there was a larger update, so I decided to start again because the map was starting to bug out and we were getting some issues. Season 2 was a lot smoother, and I kind of plan initially to come in and do my usual turtling, get my first settlement set up as much as possible. The exploration side of things might be a little bit more difficult because we have roaming raiders on the map, and that could make things difficult. We probably want to try and just get a solid foundation up and running very quickly, explore most of Zone 1 if we can, grab some resources, get things set up, maybe do a little bit of research and things so that we can get that done. It might well be that we're not able to do what we did last series and get through every single zone to unlock all of the technologies there. It just really depends what these roaming raiders are like and if the attacks on our settlement end up becoming more frequent. So the first thing we need to do, we've got to search the area for a more livable place. We are first going to grab everything here. We've got a light machine gun there as well, so we're going to try and boot in everything we can. Now, I don't know where the light machine gun goes. Okay, so it goes in there. Oh, we do have armament that we can select, so can we drop over to here? If we take this out of here and then go to armament, do we then put that on there? There we go. Right, so our Pathfinder is now equipped with a light machine gun. It doesn't seem to have ammunition. I don't think that's a thing, which is good. So, Pathfinder, off we go. We're not going to try and grab any items and stuff on the way. We're just going to try and find our first settlement because we are fully stocked up with lots of plastic, cloth and things like that. So we're just going to slowly make our way into the zone. And our first settlement should actually be straight ahead. Actually, we're going backwards right now, so we need to turn around and go this way. Let's speed up a little bit. So to the north, I think, is where our large area was. There we go, a new zone here. We're just going to take a look at it. So we're just going to pause a second. We have a coal vein there. We've also got one clay deposit, 2 coal deposits. We have fertile soil here, which is good. Restorable ruins in the form of a decaying lead mine and an old house, which will be good for our settlers. We've then got 13 lots of wild animals. So if we've got our settlers there, that's probably where we're going to want to try and build our town centre. We can then maybe restore that ruin, which only requires scrap, wood, plastic and cloth, and that should save us a bit of issue with mapping around this settlement. We've got water nearby, which is good. We've also got a forest out the back there and a forest over there, and then quite a large bit of scrap right in the middle. So I think town centre going in and around this area here, maybe down here next to the houses, and that should set us up quite nicely. So let's go back to the Pathfinder over here and we'll see where we can get it's probably going to be around that area there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly head out this way because there was another settlement location over here that we could have a look at. What we want to do is try and, if we can, get some sort of trade based stuff up and going between these two settlements if we can get something done quickly. And the next area is over here. This one's settleable. So whilst I have a quick look at that, I'm going to send the Pathfinder over here, which is probably where the next one is. Now this area has 3 lots of fertile soil. It has 1 clay deposit, 2 coal deposits, restorable ruins. We've got an old wind turbine and an old park, which can make that surrounding area more attractive. The only issue is we've got quite a bit of ruined buildings in the way. There's then 31 lots of wild animals. We've got the clay deposit right in the middle of the forest there. So ideally, because there's a park there, you would want to put your town centre in and around that area, but we can't do that because of these 2 buildings here. So that's something that we might have to adjust a bit later on. And then down here should be our final settleable area. We've just got to double check the water is okay there. It currently is. I think if we just keep knocking around here, we should finally unlock it. Although I might have gone everywhere but where this settlement is. Let's keep going. Just digging in and eking away at the map. Unless this is quite a small settlement and I've not realised. It could be further afield though. It could be over here. I think it's here because I can see some trees there. So it must be up there. There it is. Popped. Okay, so again, 2 lots of fertile soil, 2 lots of clay, 2 lots of coal, 1 restorable ruin in the form of an old wind turbine, a lot of scrap there in the center. Okay, so definitely going to go with settling here. That's probably the best place to start. So we're going to bring our Pathfinder over to here and set up our first area. Right, so once that's done, we can start like grabbing stuff from the nearby area, but also, oh, and Rusty Rolf is right on the corner there. That is good. We've got a Rusty Rolf right in between 2 settlements. I also noticed there's a bridge there, and that bridge will link us straight up. This is a good seed. I quite like this. We can put our settlement, let's put our settlement here. This is where we'll start things off. So we can build our new settlement right there. That's good. That's not actually where I wanted it, but never mind. We can then put our town centre. I'm actually going to rotate our town centre and place it here. Put it there. And then we have a nice little road that goes all the way around it. Excellent. So our first step has been taken. We have 15 homeless settlers, but we're going to sort that out very quickly. Now, we have some pending jobs. We got an interesting ruin here, and this is going to give ourselves a nice early boost to our settlers' happiness. So we can actually restore this old house immediately and then get 50 population cap already. So settlers will start, going in, reproducing. We'll have that homeless population sorted out very quickly. Meanwhile, we're going to have our Pathfinder come back, and actually they're going to come and just drop this stuff off. Then they're going to head back to the end zone and they're going to drop all of that stuff off. We get a nice little reward there. I'm going to pause while I plan out my initial settlement. So what I want to do is I want to have a quick look over here. We can put in a little gravel path, and what that'll do is that'll allow us to kind of start branching out to where we need to be. Luckily, we go right over there to that fertile ground, and then we can bring a road coming down to here. And we'll do the same here as well, just to clear out, and then that gives us a little bit of an area where we could potentially put more houses in, but that's likely going to be where we have some initial production happening. And then we're going to go down to here as well with this road, and that's going to come to here, and that gives us to the edge of that fertile land there. Then we have a forest that comes out here, so we can probably just head up into this space here, and that also takes us to the old mine over there, and another road that goes up to here. We might as well just try and keep this nice and squared off. There we go. So that's good. Now, where was the water? The water was here. So what we want to do is we want to try and get some jetties and stuff in here so we can start getting some water. We need a well. No, we don't need a well. We want a jetty, and the jetty, you can see there's already some radiation in the water here, so that's something that we're going to need to really think about. And I'm going to put my first set of jetties. We're going to put one here. We kind of don't want it to go into that ground because it's fertile, and I'd like to try and keep that as close to staying like operational for farming only. We're then going to put in our fishing hut, and we need to then add in some other stuff there to make it a little bit more efficient. So we're going to run this road along here, coming up on the edge of the ground, fertile land there, and then that's going to go across to there. We then need to get in our first logistics buildings, the first one being the cistern, and we're going to put the cistern at the apex here so that we can just about fit in the jetty, and then when we put more jetties in, that is going to be able to be constructed quite quickly. That's going to stay as a blueprint because we're actually missing some resources to create that, but we're going to put that along to there. We are then going to get a food depot, and that's going to go on the corner here as well, because if I can then get some something that's going to, like a foraging hut in that building there, as well as more fisheries, that's going to help us out there as well. Next thing, if we can get a foraging hut up here, which we can, we're going to put the foraging hut just on the corner here. We don't want to kind of go too far away. Maybe here. Problem is, if we build it in the forest, we do end up losing some of the items that we could potentially farm there. So I'm actually going to put my foraging hut on the corner here, so it doesn't interfere too much with that. And then we're going to change its work area, its work radius into that space there. So there's about 460, 450, 460, 470... 470 is going to be our best bet. It just sneaks in those areas there, and that is good. Right, so we have food, we have water. The next step is going to be getting some farming up and running. Now, the houses have been restored, and our population is going to very quickly start coming into this. And what's our next best thing to do? We are short of wood, scrap, and plastic. So to get wood, we are going to need a wood cutting lodge. Now, I imagine this is going to have quite a bit of foraging to do in there, so I don't really want to interfere with that too much. We do have another forestry area over here, which we could leave to purely wood cutting. So we're going to stick on the edge of the forest here. I'm going to run a road that goes up to this space here. I'm going to come all the way out to here, and we'll be able to put in a forester's hut right on the edge there. So wood cutting lodge is going to go here. We'll just put it at a little bit of an angle there, and then we'll change its work area so that it takes up that whole forest. Then we will put a tree nursery in opposite, and that tree nursery is going to work in this area here to build a new forest in the space. And then we can just switch these over from time to time and keep things nice and smooth. We're then going to put a scrapyard in, and our scrapyard is going to go on the edge of the forest as well. Obviously, it does eat into the area a little bit, but I'm not too bothered about that right now. And then we just want our scrappers to take down this building here. So there's a lot of scrap there, and that's good. We'll then put a recycler right next to it, because that gets to be next to the scrap production, which gives it an efficiency bonus. And lastly, we go to our logistics and we build a material depot right here so they can take on all of those resources. Now, we're currently missing something very, very key, which is a lot of resources that we're going to need. The coal kiln is something that we're going to need to build, and that could do with being close to wood production. Now, we have some wood production here as well, and we can just slot that in right there. The coal kiln will produce charcoal, which we can then use in our weaving mill which needs to be near water, fiber. It requires water production, it requires fiber, and it needs to be near a depot. And also our workshop requires wood and scrap. So we can put our workshop right here, but is it far away enough? No, it's not close enough to the scrap there, so we'll have to move it there so it gets the wood and the scrap. All of them centralized by this depot, so we get a little bit of a resource production underway to begin with. Now, that's all going to need people, and we are definitely going to get people very soon, but to do any of this building, we are going to need to go out and get some more stuff. Now, the end zone was right back this way, so we can head down there and grab all of that nice stuff. Just looking, we are doing pretty well so far, and I'm quite happy with the start we've made. We've planned out our basic settlement. We're going to set off on a high-speed chase across there. Water's running out, so we're going to need to sort that very quickly, but our jetty is being built right now. Someone will go to work in that very soon. I'm actually going to make sure that we have maxed out the people working in that, so we can get 5 people working in there. We get a 300 boost to our water. And where's our Pathfinder now? It has just arrived, so they can loot the end zone again and bring that all the way back. And that clears that end zone off the map, so we no longer need to be there and be grabbing stuff from it. We've got quite a few potential access points as well for new stuff, but we're good for now. Right, so our jetty, we can actually just reduce the people working in there so that we stay at a decent level of water coming in. We don't need that too much, but our fishery is going to come in, and that's going to start producing food for us. That's good as well, and stuff will gradually start being built. Our foraging hut as well is going to provide some food for us, and that gives us a little bit of variation on our food. We can then dump all of this stuff from the vehicle in, and more stuff will start getting built. Good. Then we'll head back out to these initial phases and carry on getting stuff done. So we're going to also build, I think this was the scrapyard. We're going to get that built now. We've got the recycler in. We've got the material depot. We can start off our wood cutting lodge. We can also build the coal kiln, and we can build that. And then looking at some other stuff, we're all good for now. We have a task that says we are low on wood, so let's get that done. And that shouldn't actually take us too long to complete. What do they want us to do? How much wood do they need us to get? Produce 50 wood. Excellent. And that'll get the morale up as well. Now you can see here the soil radioactivity is currently at 7%, and 2% of our resources are contaminated. So it's in our best interest if we have a quick look at what we need to do to bring that radiation level down. It will be from creating a decontaminator, which happens over here. I think it's a community building. It's not a community building. No, it isn't. Is it logistics? Yes, there it is. So we need 5 units of plastic, and we also need 10 bricks. So our next kind of step is going to be to get involved in producing something that is going to create charcoal brickworks. And this is kind of the major first milestone that we have. This is a potential expedition here, so we're going to leave that for now. I just want to grab resources. You can see our water is starting to drop a little bit, and we are going to need to get some research points. That will set us off quite nicely, so maybe the medical area is a good place to start. We're going to dump all of these. Again, you see we've still got water and food in there, and the clay resource, frustratingly, is right there, which means we are going to have to build our clay pit when we get it up and running right next to our settlement. So it must be in this location, unfortunately. Hopefully it won't have too much of an impact. So noise is a problem and pollution is a problem. And these both have a 10% confidence reduction, which we don't want considering we have all of our population in these houses here. I'm just going to put somebody else in the jetty there just to bring that water back into an increasing number, which it is. We currently don't have any we need more probably water storage. We don't actually have any, so we're going to construct the water cistern and the food depot, and that should help us out immensely. Right then, so looking at research, the first type of research we're going to want to do is get our clay pit. We need 50 units of scrap and 15 scrap tools, and the brickworks needs clay and coal. Looking at what we've got now, we can now start putting people 1 into the workshop to produce some tools. Let's put 2 into the scrapyard and 1 into the coal kiln, and we'll max out the recycler because our plastic is running pretty low. We need 20 units of scrap there, 25 there. and then all of our initial buildings will be set up. So I'm going to head out into the wastelands, do some loot runs, and then that should bring us exactly what we're looking for. So we're looking pretty good at this moment in time, and I'm quite happy with the start we've made. Obviously, that could all change very quickly, as is often the case with Endzone. But next time, we'll have all of these resources brought in, including some plastic and wood there. That's good. We'll carry on heading along here. This looks like a bunch of ruined houses, so they should have something for us. Scrap and wood again, which is great. And then coming over to here, where we've got a couple of areas that we can loot. More plastic and more wood. And then just over to here, where we'll grab a little bit of cloth and plastic. And the great thing about not building the tents is we're going to be able to use the cloth that we've got for now, because we currently have our maximum population of 50. And yeah, that's really nice. We are low on scrap. I'm going to accept this actually, because that is going to allow us to complete another task very quickly. What do we need to do? We need to produce 50 scrap. So that's not going to take us too long at all. Looking over here, we have 2.6 coal per minute being produced. We don't have any cloth. Plastic is 3.2. Scrap is 10. Wood is 1. So maybe we need another woodcutter working in that lodge. And then over here in our tree nursery, we're going to max that out so we can produce more forests as quickly as possible. Right, our Pathfinder has returned. We're going to exchange these goods with the settlement, and that is fantastic. So again, settlers happy because we've completed another task, but again, contaminated resources and radiation protection is something that we're going to need to sort out. So looking at our research, we're going to need to have a look at building a tailor's hut now, I think. So where's our trades and crafts? The weaving mill. That's what we're going to need to put in, and for that we are going to need to do a tailor's workshop as well. But before we do any of that, we actually need a plantation. And what we need here, if we put the plantation down here, they need to be near a depot. So we're going to do a material depot right down here. We're going to speed this up, get that built, and then plant our first set of plantation stuff, where we're going to be farming some fibers. Now, currently we have 20 available workers, 22 available workers now, and you can see here actually the population is starting to really increase. We don't have anybody listed as homeless yet, but it's something that we're definitely going to need to be aware of. But we can create some fibers here. We also have natural latex, which is going to be really helpful too. So we're going to start planting our first farm. We're going to run up to here, then we're going to go back over to here. And I'm going to try and have my farm go as far as possible up to this section here, where we've reached our limit there. So I'm actually going to remove these 4 here. Then we're going to put in another one there and a final one there. That's it. Right, okay. Oh, hang on a minute. That doesn't look quite right. Oh, it is right. It's fine. Right, good. So it's a little bit slapdash, but it works. And we can now start farming some fibers. And we'll finish off with the necessary trade and craft stuff here, like the weaving mill, which is going to go down here. Needs to be near some water production, so I'm actually going to build a well here as well. It goes near water and fiber, which is good, and then we will finish off with the tailor's workshop, which needs to be near cloth and coal production. So what we'll do is, if we can put this tailor's workshop, where's our coal? Our coal is over there. So if we put a tailor's workshop here, we could then potentially bring coal, although it doesn't necessarily matter. We do lose a little bit of a percent bonus on that though, which is a shame. Looking at our workshop, we're going to need to put some more people to work in there, and then over here our weaving mill will get to work on that, and you see our cloth production goes up a little bit, and then finally once we get that done, we can have that in place. So that's going to bring our first episode of Series 3 to an end. We have found our first settlement, we've established it, and things are up and running quite nicely now. Next episode, our target is going to be to get our tailor's workshop complete, and we'll also go into clay mining and the brickworks. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sorry that we've had to cut Season 2 short, but Season 3, that will just continue because we are now in the full release. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.